back. We are back. Yes, we are back. Ooh, Liam, I apologize. I'm missing somebody, and I missed Liam. So yeah, I'm horrible. Welcome back. We are part 2 of AWS On Air, and right now we get to talk to Liam about Amazon Rekognition. Actually, a feature from Amazon Rekognition that well, it's quite interesting, especially for all of you video producers out there. Speaking of video producers, we have Kyle here. Hello, Kyle. Welcome back.
Hey, happy to be back. Yeah, it was really cool watching what you guys were going through, and yeah, I'm super excited about what Liam has to present because I am also like I make YouTube videos, so I'm like one of the perfect use cases for this product. So really happy to see what's going to happen right now.
Exactly. And you know, speaking of this product, we have Liam Morrison here who's going to talk to us about Liam. Who are you? Why did you come here?
Hello. So my name is Liam. I am a principal solutions architect focusing specifically in machine learning as it applies to media and entertainment. So practical applications of machine learning for anything from video. I also work a lot with recommendations specific to video platforms.
Okay, well, what is this thing we're going to be talking about today? What is the thing we have launched that you're going to be telling us all the amazing things about?
Absolutely. So actually, hours ago, we launched a new component to what was formerly known as the Segment Detection API. So Rekognition is a broad set of APIs that provide different capabilities specific to image and video analysis using machine learning. The Segment Detection API was a specific API geared at media supply chain use cases and operations use cases, which sought to find components of video that were usable for different purposes. So historically, they did shots. So what a shot inside of a piece of content is anytime the camera changes, which is often used for edits, and also did things like color bar detection as well as black frame detection, which is commonly used for ad breaks. So when someone creates content, they'll leave black frames with silence as a marker for where to inject an ad. So that was the current feature, and then today we added additional capabilities, which is the ability to detect opening credits and also detect slates. And detect the presence of content as well. So kind of the absent of those other things like black frames, intro credits, and end credits.
So this is part of Amazon Rekognition. It's not AWS Rekognition. It's Amazon Rekognition.
Again.
To explain to the folks here, and Amazon Rekognition is a wonderful service. It's the best service to demo out there because it's so visual. It actually involves visual things. But maybe Liam, you can explain to the audience here what is Amazon Rekognition, why people use it, and actually how people use Amazon Rekognition.
Absolutely. So Amazon Rekognition, yeah, I agree with you. It is definitely a very fun service to demo, and we're actually going to share some code today that actually gives you even more capability to demo it, because the fun thing about it to demo is actually the results, but at the end of the day, and we'll talk about how to use those results, it's an API, and APIs outside of the people on this session, APIs aren't as fun to demo. UIs are fun to demo, and that's what we'll talk about, is how to turn the API into a UI, but also make it actionable. So what Rekognition is it's a suite of image and video processing APIs. And the benefits, similar to what James talked about with Personalize, is to build a skill set to do all of the different things from object detection to scene detection to celebrity detection, looking for inappropriate content, so moderation, think like nudity, hate symbols, violence, smoking, gambling. All of these are different ML skill sets that generally take dedicated teams to build, train, develop the models. So the benefit of Rekognition is you actually get access to those capabilities via an API. So that's generally Rekognition's use case.
And I was curious, Liam, so we have this new feature coming out in regards to, like you said, intros. Is that right? And I was curious, like what were customers looking to have accomplished that this feature is going to be helping out with?
So there's a couple different ways, but the most easiest way to use it is actually if you think about watching any of the main direct-to-consumer streaming sites out there, the Prime Videos, the Netflixes. These wars are won by customer experience or CX. So the experience you have on the platform is very often ingrained in people's brain about how good it was to watch a movie on that. So binging is obviously a current thing that has been around for quite a long time. One of the things that makes binging is that ability to go from episode to episode to episode and get the meat of the episode as quick as possible. Yeah. So there's two components there, which is what we call skip intro and watch next episode. Those require markers to know when to skip and what to skip. Like how far do you skip? So
got it. So when I'm up at 3 a.m. in the morning watching something that I should have stopped like a couple of hours ago, I know that, hey, Liam did this to me. So
yeah. and it's wonderful. Like I actually, watching one of those live media streaming platforms, I sit down and skip intro, like the skip intro button. That's the best thing everybody has ever invented, period, right? And when I watch something that's not on a platform and like I'm missing this button, where is it, right? I wish it existed. So if you plan to run any of the streaming platforms out there for yourself, if you wish to invent a new Prime Video, whatever you would like to call it, please introduce a skip video button. Not skip video, skip intro. And the feature here we talk about can help you with that, right?
Yep, and one thing I want to add to that is when you have a large catalog, if you think about the last 40, 60, 60 years of content, we'll say, no one was thinking about marking the beginning and the ending of the intro because in linear TV, you never had the concept of, other than, TiVo or something like that, you never had the concept of fast getting through something quickly. So yeah. Skip intro has really become a facet of direct-to-consumer streaming.
It's the feature, I must say. Okay, maybe we talk about these things. So this feature, it doesn't have a very striking name to call it, Amazon Rekognition X, but it does a lot of things. And for people like Kyle here, media creators, people who run platforms that stream videos, what can this feature do? What does it help you, the owner, content owner, the creator, whatnot? What does it help you do?
Yeah, so it helps you in identifying the key points in a piece of content. And those key points could be the shots for, like, the challenge here is there's so many different use cases. Let's use the use case of dailies coming in, which could be a reel, and daily is the film or the footage coming in during a production. So it's coming in and it needs to be edited, it needs to be worked with to turn it into a finished piece of content. That's one use case where you actually have a long video with several shots.
Right. Finding
where the shots in that content to know where to cut and cut specifically. Like frame accuracy is a big challenge when it comes to these use cases. So getting the exact frame, because you don't want one additional frame, because then when you create your video, you have a blink of a frame from the cut.
From a different one, yeah.
So one specific benefit of the Rekognition segment detection API is that it is frame accurate, and it provides SMPTE time codes for the exact location of any of these details, from the credits to the color bars to the shots, for instance.
This actually seems like it would be like a really great thing for this live stream after it's saved, right? So then what we could do is we could actually figure out which segments are for the previous presentation, and then which segment is this presentation. It would be able to do something like that.
Absolutely. So yeah, that would be a good use case. Like I know you actually put these up and even mark segments on where things happen. So this is all part of the media supply chain. So getting what we typically call from glass to glass, which is, again, neither of these are always glass anymore, but from the camera glass to the TV glass. But That's the media supply chain is kind of many different steps, and depending on the organization, these can be very complicated or very simple. Like it
Right.
varies by organization.
And it's like in this, I think that's a great comment, Kyle. This video, right? And we have these transitions happening here. Would Amazon Rekognition been able to detect like, oh, there's a transitioning happening here? Will it be able to like set a marker just before the transition has been hit so we can cut it?
It would, depending on the aspects of the content. But the other thing I want to talk about, and we'll be showing the specific API we're talking about today, but there's other things you can also do, such as look at what's being said, look at what's actually printed on the screen. So Rekognition has more APIs that we're not talking about in detail today. But often as a customer, you're combining all this information into searchable metadata that you can then use to cut your content, to create marketing promos. Like there's unfortunately a lot of different derivative use cases.
Yeah. And we have a question here from Asawari. Might not be related to this exact API, but coming in, is there a way to identify kid-unfriendly content in a video and skip it by choosing that at the start or something like that? Is it possible to do that with Amazon Rekognition?
Yeah, and that's actually an API that we've actually iterated a couple times, like similar to Personalize. And one of the best benefits of these AI services is they improve over time. We add features. It's the same API, but for instance, we have what's called the content moderation API, which allows you to process the content and it will give you information back. And originally it was just nudity based. Suggestive, different degrees of nudity. It'll tell you how, like, we don't make rating judgments on your content. We give you all of the detail at a second by second level, and then you could make that decision. But we added smoking, alcohol, because different regions have different compliance issues as well. And we talk about kids safe. I mean, it depends on the age. So we give you all of that detail, and then you could use that combined with the shot barriers to say the second there's inappropriate content, skip that entire shot. Or if it's live, blur, mute, or whatever you need to do. So
that's interesting. It does live too?
We have definite customers doing live. There's different ways you could do live. There's actually live and finished content, so VOD. There's definitely different ways you would want to approach it, but we have customers doing both, and we have actually code that shows you how to do both as well.
Okay, cool.
I think this actually would work awesome with the Amazon Personalize, how they were just talking about doing a social media feed, and then like, let's say your social media platform allows video, right? Then you could implement Rekognition to figure out, hey, is this content safe for our platform or for the feed, and then make decisions based off of that. So I'm really interested.
Yeah, and there's a good comment here from a LinkedIn user. We cannot see everybody's name, but a LinkedIn user asks, can it do things with audio, or is Rekognition purely visual?
So Rekognition is purely visual, but AWS or Amazon Transcribe, you got me doing it now. Amazon Transcribe also does audio and can do real time. So we actually do this with audio, just not through Rekognition. And that's actually why I wanted to, when I get to the demo, I'm going to show the code that handles the API we're talking about today, but then a broader set of code that we also open sourced that allows you to merge multiple services. So Rekognition for all the video-based, Transcribe for all the audio, and then Comprehend, which goes a step further to look at what's spoken and identify locations, new numbers, amounts, people, places that are being discussed in that content.
So a combination of multiple AWS machine learning services can actually help you achieve a lot of things, and that's a common thread throughout all of these things, because each service does a single thing, or it's focused to a specific subset of features, and you can combine them and to make what you want. The brilliance of this is just an API, right? You just call an API with a specific data, and then you run with it, right?
And I think that's a very good point, because the problem is if someone puts those together for you and doesn't expose how to configure them, like a great example is content localization. We can have a whole nother session about that some other day. That's a different application of the same services, but you need a UI to do human in the loop correction. Like you need all these different subtle things. So we provide code that shows you how to take the APIs and use it for that use case. Or today we're talking about what I call a search and discovery use case.
All right. We have folks asking for a demo.
All right.
Let's actually bring it on and we can just kind of talk over it. And let me pull this up on the screen. We can see it now. Okay. So.
All right. So
tell us what you will be demoing, first of all. Tell us what we will be seeing today.
Absolutely. So first, I'm going to actually just show the output of the API in the grand effort of talking about the benefits of APIs versus the fun of demoing a UI. So what you see right here is the output of the new feature specific to this video that I'm going to show. And what you get is you get the type of segment. So technical queue, that's things like end credits, black frames, color bars, slates, content. It's that specific what is this in the content.
Okay.
You then get the time codes, again, frame accurate time code, where it is, and a confidence level on how accurate. As with most machine learning services, you get a confidence score that you can use to make decisions.
Okay. Okay.
And thinking more down the moderation use case, if there's like a 20% chance or 30% chance that this is moderated content, that's not as potentially bad as if it's 99 or 100% moderated content. So it's really designed to help you understand how to handle that. Do you pass it to a human? What action do you take?
Yeah.
So this is essentially the JSON that comes back from Rekognition, and each API has this, the celebrities, the moderation. I'm just showing the one specific to the demo today.
But show us what is this. Like, for example, I see here a type shot, and there's start timestamp, end timestamp. So it identifies something called a shot. Now,
yes,
I'm not into video production, so I don't know what a shot is. But so what is a shot? Yeah.
So the best example I could use is if you think about like a multi-camera sitcom or even any show you watch that isn't even reality TV has this, like, anytime you see one for lack of a better term, shot. I don't have another word to use at this point. So one shot and then you cut to another shot, like detecting that is potentially hard. It's easy for a human to do. Like we look at it and we're like, oh, the shot changed. But it's hard to do, and it's hard to do at scale.
Okay, so it basically does, like, it detects potentially a camera cut off to a different camera or to a different angle or anything like that, and it treats that as a shot, and it gives us information. It starts at this. Is this milliseconds? I guess milliseconds.
Yes.
And it's
to get frame accurate, you have to go down. If you think about the content can be 24. It can be, depending on the frames per second. You have to be very specific at where this exists.
Okay. Gotcha. So this is the output of this API.
Yes, exactly.
Okay. What do we do with it?
Now let's get to the more fun part, which is so let's look at this, and here, I'll actually pull that up again. I'll start from scratch. So I processed a piece of content through here, and I'm gonna just play it, and we can go through. Actually, I'm gonna start back over because I want to show everyone what I'm showing. Yeah. This is code we're gonna share. So this is the code that we're gonna share, and it stitches together multiple AWS services. I'm actually gonna just relog into this. To start it over.
While you're doing that, Kyle had a question. Kyle, go ahead while this is happening.
I was just curious. Is there a time limit? Like, can you go for only X amount of milliseconds or minutes or hours? Or I was just curious.
Duration of content, you mean?
Duration.
There are limits. I need to check the fact. I think that's we have the right people on the line to put the answer in. There are limits. It's in hours. I need to check the exact limit. And it varies by service. And Transcribe, for instance, has a limit of 4 hours. Rekognition, I need to check, but there is a limit.
Hours is usually enough.
Yeah, it's definitely not like 5 minutes. Like I've run entire movies through this to process. So again, that's the use case we're showing here. So I'm actually going to show this again, but I want to light up the features one by one. So when you launch this CloudFormation template, which was updated in GitHub today to add the new features, you can drag a video in and we'll process that video for these new components, opening credits, slates if I had any in this content, end credits, and to show the demo, you can actually say, let's see where the color bars are. So if you look, it identified the color bars. And just to give everyone an example, color bars and slates, this is definitely more inside baseball in the media industry. These are things that often come with content that need to be trimmed off before you send it into your production system to go out to the public. Right. So trimming off of these is a constant thing that somebody is being paid to do, to go in and trim that first thing off. And when you're talking about catalogs in the thousands of titles, it actually becomes a pretty daunting task that is very repetitive. So that's where you can say, here's where the color bars end. You can make that cut in an automated fashion. Now let's get to the opening credits and end credits. So now, if you think about how the streaming media platforms work, you can say, here's the opening credits. So as soon as the opening credits come up, that is the JSON response visualized. So you can see it knows this is the opening credits. And as soon as these credits end, it's going to fade away and drop off. So you could actually say skip intro would remove that section. You just essentially jump forward to this. And this is, if anyone isn't familiar with Blender, they make amazing open source movies. I'm just using this to show the example.
And is this done in real time, or has this video been processed and this data has been pumped into this?
This has been processed. The Rekognition video API is for finished content.
Finished content. Okay.
But generally what customers do is there is through Kinesis video streams, there is a capability to do recognition in real time. And you could also just grab frames and send the frames up, which is a very common pattern for real-time live video detection.
Awesome. So I don't do a lot of video editing. I do some, live streaming, and I do some YouTube as well. But I found myself that I just do cuts in videos. Like, I've made a specific scene. I want to cut it up in a different video. And I see this, and my internal desire to automate everything sees this as a very useful tool. For example, I can take a video, and this tool can detect shots, and I can pass this JSON object that's detected all of those things and parse it through some application that will use FFmpeg to cut these things up and all the stuff. So even if like you are just processing a lot of videos on your own, I think this can be a very, very useful feature, just for automation purposes.
Absolutely, but I wanted to show more capabilities of this open source code that is specific. Like you mentioned FFmpeg to cut it up.
Yeah.
That's great if you know exactly where. But if you're an editor, so if you're a content creator, you're going to use a nonlinear editor like Adobe Premiere, DaVinci Resolve. You're going to use one of these suites.
Okay.
These suites don't know anything about our JSON files, which stands to reason.
Right.
So I'm going to show, we actually added some code into this GitHub package, and it's code you could even extract, use on its own without the video processing. I'll show what that is. So here's the code we already talked about and showed, the JSON response. I'm now going to actually talk about an EDL file or an edit decision list. So edit decision list is an open source standard that's actually used by many of these nonlinear editors. Definitely DaVinci Resolve, definitely Premiere, and multiple others. So we created a Lambda function that essentially converts these responses from our JSON files to the EDL files needed for a nonlinear editor. So that's what this is here. So if you go here, you can say download the EDL package, and you'll get all of these files in a way that you can then bring into your editor. I'll do it really quick just to show. Any questions?
For a novice like me, what is an EDL file? What is EDL in this case?
So edit decision list. So it is that kind of is what it says, but it is the same data you saw, but presented in a way that's specific to an editing platform. Yeah, so here's shot 1. It starts here, it ends here, and it provides the information about that. And or the opening credits, for instance. Here is the exact location of the start and end of the opening credits. Here is the exact location of the end credits as well.
Right. Okay. Wow. All right.
So yeah, to quickly show that, I'm just going to do shots because it shows easier. So I'm going to bring the EDL file into Premiere. And we talked about the frames per second. So this content is a 24 frame per second piece of content. I'm going to bring the edit decision list in, and I now have 160 edit decision ED edits that are presented. I'm going to connect that to my content. So I'm actually going to go through, connect it to the video that you've seen already throughout this. So here we go, connect it to the same video that you saw inside of the demo.
Okay.
And so now if you look here, I have all of the edits. So right here, I can go in here and get very specific with my edits, make cuts, and now it's in an editor. So this is 160 markers I did not have to manually create or leverage some other way.
Wonderful. Wonderful. And this creation of EDL, is this part of the service, or is this part of this open source code that you have created?
It's not part of the service. It is part of the open source code. We actually we'd love to hear from the audience on what formats, because EDL is just one of many different possibilities. It's the most general. It works in the most platforms. But this code is we maintain this, we keep it up to date. I'm actually going to show the kind of parent of this in a second, which brings transcribe and all the other services in. But we'd love to hear from the audience what formats, and this goes for any media format. So subtitles, like what formats make sense for a media customer for the output of our AI services.
I know that I used to use Premiere Pro, so I'm a little bit familiar with this, but now I use Final Cut Pro, and I think one of the formats that I would probably want to use, I've never used EDL, but I just looked up right now. It looks like I would probably need to use something called FCP XML, so Final Cut Pro XML. So that might be one that is relevant to some other customers. And then one thing that I wanted to say about the way that you demonstrated this is, like, you already had the video that had all the different transitions and all the different shots. Usually in my workflow, what I would do is I'd be creating those transitions and shots. So then at that point, I would have like all the clips in a timeline in something like Premiere Pro. Everything would be cut up and everything, right? And then I'm guessing maybe the workflow would be, I would export maybe like a lower resolution of my video out, send it to this API, then get back the EDL. Would that be the process? Or
specific to shots, you wouldn't need us to tell you where your shots were because you have the timeline. If you created an Adobe, it's unlikely you need a service like Rekognition to come back and tell you. You can actually likely export the data from Final Cut to actually create an EDL. But for opening credits, quite probably, yeah, you would use a proxy. You would do a lower resolution. Even if you do a higher resolution, one interesting thing about this this open source code is we actually use a different AWS service to convert between different formats. So we can provide multiple different formats in, and it will do the conversion using a different AWS service named Elemental Media Convert.
And I'll actually leave in like an actual real live use case that I would probably go out and start using today. What I do is I create all the cut up shots, right? And then what I'll do is I'll go back and do some overlay on some like maybe like I'll do a GIF inside of the picture or something like that. And whenever I'm talking about a specific thing or switch to specific shots, that's when I'll overlay something. And what I do is I go back and I watch my video one full time again, and I have to create the markers manually. So that's what I'm kind of envisioning this for my current workflow. And I think that's one use case that maybe some other people might be using too.
Absolutely. So that is probably the most primary use case, is to lower that manual effort.
Yeah.
Like it's often called logging, but that manual effort, that watch it one more time, again, and log where things are. That's one of the primary use cases for Amazon Rekognition, is to lower that cost of human cost and time cost, to go back and do those manual efforts. So,
Got it.
We have a question here from Artyom. Artyom asks us how. Wait a second. Let me bring David up. I'm sorry. That's not good. Much better. Okay. So Artyom asks us, how can we identify the fragment of the video which is an advertisement? For example, what exactly would you see in a JSON in this case? Is it possible, maybe not through this API, but through Rekognition itself?
It's a very complicated question. One we've worked with customers to answer is to identify, classify, and even segment out the ads. It's hard because thinking about computer vision and all the different services, oftentimes these ads are designed to look as much like the content as possible. And if it's stitched in the video, you will get the shot changes. You will get but to use my solutions architect in media hat, what will happen is the people in that content will change dramatically. You're also getting all of the language that is spoken. We'll talk about the other service, the other code that I wanted to share, which is the broader all services multimodal way to search through your content. You have enough markers to get at where the ads are, but it does require some processing of the JSON output. But an ad will have specific language that talks about the product. Products will get mentioned. The cast will change. Logos will appear. There's a lot you have to do it, but we don't have a service that will do it natively on its own by itself.
So like mentioned before, there's a bunch of AI services on AWS that you can use that can help you kind of achieve this thing, achieve this outcome.
And I had a quick question. Is there a way to filter like the shots that come back?
How do you mean filter?
I guess maybe if, something that's like a 20-minute video would have several different shots over the course of the 20 minutes, and there would be a lot of JSON or JSON that would come back. I'm just curious, would it return everything that's just detected, or is there some type of way to minimize the amount of shots that come back?
So it's a tough one to answer on its own because we don't know what you want to minimize to, but I can tell you how customers are doing this, and Rekognition actually does a great job. If you think all the different APIs provide different things, like say the content moderation and the objects. So object detection allows you to tell you every object that's in a piece of content. There's taxonomies. So you could say, I want to filter, like a good example of a filter you might want to do is I want to filter only the shots that have gambling or alcohol in it. So that is combining the results from one API with the other API. And I'll bring it up when we can start talking about it. This is the other code I wanted to talk about. And it should look very similar because this is the exact same code base as the segment shot detection API code. But this is, think of it as more of an omnibus, every service and bringing it all in. This is called the media to cloud solution. So this is actually a same code, but it's expanded to all of the different services. So transcribe, Rekognition, and it does all of the detections. This is all going into Elasticsearch. So you can actually do complex searches of where is the shot that has nudity in it, for instance, and then you could filter that response back.
So this is wonderful if you have like I guess there's a technical term for it, but if you have like a warehouse of media, right, a content management system for media, right, where you would dump a lot of video files, and if you're a producer of video content and you wish to search for a specific clip or a specific thing happening, you can do it through this.
And yeah, that's exactly the use case. It's an asset management system in media.
Asset
Yeah, and those can apply many different areas along the supply chain. It could be a production asset management system. So that's where your dailies are coming in. But it also could be more for distribution, getting it out. So the interesting thing with those asset management systems is they have technical metadata, which is information about the file, what codecs, what frame rate, all of what audio channels. That's in the technical metadata. An area that's actually becoming very, very popular through machine learning is content metadata. So that is everything that is in this content, like who is in this content. So where these different people show up. So where Derek DeLint shows up in this piece of content. So you can say, show me exactly where Derek DeLint shows up in this piece of content. Let me refresh because I've been talking a while and Cognito timed me out.
See, this
so
is
let me go
like
back.
if you ever watched Amazon Prime, right? The videos on Amazon Prime, they have this feature called X-ray, and it will show you who's an actor currently on the screen. The similar thing or same thing can be achieved with this collection of APIs.
So yeah, that is a great example of content metadata in process.
Right.
That is second by second information on who's in what scene. So if you utilize this data, you could build something like it. Is what I would say. So let me go back and show that again. So let's find where he is in this content. And when you build this CloudFormation template, again, you get a Cognito login and you have access to it. So it essentially sends you a login so you can see where is this person. You can go down to where are the weapons in this video. So where is the violence? Where is violence shown? I'm not necessarily gonna, again, it's an open source movie, but don't want to just randomly go to violence. And this should look familiar because this is actually that capability of segments that's actually built into the wider platform. I did want to mention one thing, which is this does not have the new API yet. It is coming, but right now the new API features are only in the code that I showed earlier. Stay tuned. We are actually adding all of that into the larger open source code that we're sharing here as well.
And it is very important for everybody here on chat to know that if you have any suggestions, any requests, anything you would like to be part of Rekognition and its video API, let us know. Let the folks like Liam know. There's actually a product manager here in chat. Send us what you want. Send us what you would like to see here, right? Speaking of chat, Artyom is back. Hello, Artyom. Let me move myself again. I'm sorry. How fast is the video processing, for example, for a 1 hour long video?
It's hard to say exactly how long, but it generally processes faster than the length of the video, but it's not in seconds. It will definitely be in the order of multiple minutes for an hour long piece of content. But it is, each, and what this does is it actually uses step functions to run it through all of the APIs. So depending, and actually that's a great segue into how you would actually think about processing your video. How long it takes might depend on what features you choose to use of Rekognition or transcribe or comprehend. The less feature you use, the more likely faster it will process depending. It does it in parallel, so it's not like waiting for one to get done and then doing the other. But it is running through multiple different APIs and correlating all those responses in Elasticsearch.
Gotcha. Oh, cool. And you mentioned frame rate here. Is there like a limit on a frame rate? Can I give you a 240 frames per second video? Will this be able to work with it?
So there is, I'm not sure there's a limit to frame rate. We will not process every frame. The only API that is frame accurate currently is the segment detection API, but we will process all of the content and you will get second by second information of all the other detail.
Gotcha. Well, that makes a lot of sense, right? So especially for segments, you mentioned that we need to stop at a specific frame so we can make a proper transition in this case.
One interesting thing about this code, we talked about the live versus video. We actually added some code to allow you to choose the frame that you want to do. So this will actually process it through recognition image, not video. But it gives you that, again, if you want to do all 240 frames, you can do all 240 frames. It is possible here. But it is using recognition image at this point. So it's a implementation decision, I would call it.
Okay. Okay.
And
Awesome.
I saw that there is face collection. It looks like we could add in, my face, for example, for my videos, or it would be easy to add in somebody else's face for their videos. Is that right?
Yeah, when it comes to searching content, we have a celebrity database, but if you think about different media organizations, you can, like C-SPAN, for instance, is a great example. Like not everybody on C-SPAN might be necessarily listed in a celebrity database. You can actually index a face and then find it in the content.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay.
And you can use Amazon Rekognition in this case with its custom what is it called? I forgot the name. Custom recognition labels. Yeah, you can technically do that as well, right?
And there's actually a pretty good blog, I think, recently talking about how to do that. That's actually a key media use case. Definitely, thank you for reminding me. Custom labels, a great example for that is logos or actually animated content is the two main areas I see in media and entertainment. Like great example is show me where the Amazon logo shows up in this image, in this video. Let me go. Sorry, let me go back here. You'll having a search for. Oh, here it is. So, actually, it was getting the logo on the Alexa. I was looking for the logo in the background here. It actually also found it on an Echo device. So that's a great example. And then the other one, which is a very big ask, is how do you find animated characters? A couch in the Flintstones versus a couch in the Jetsons looks very different, and that's a massively challenging computer vision problem. So custom labels was a feature launched 2 reinvents ago now, that allows you to upload reference images and we will train a model on your behalf. And again, this is not an easy thing to do without a decent amount of computer vision experience, without something like recognition. So this is also another open source piece of content. But I actually essentially just used images of these 4 characters and hit trained a model, and then process this content for that custom label. So it is very helpful to use it with animated content.
I mean, Amazon Rekognition is just a wonderful service, right? So I'm a fan of it because Amazon Rekognition, if I provide my face to it, it gives a guess the time between 25 and 30. So thank you, Amazon Rekognition. You're the only one that loves me. But in essence, this API that we talk about, Liam, can you tell me what the exact name of the API is?
The segment detection API.
The segment detection API helps you, people who want to do video editing, helps Kyle, who wants to do a lot of video processing for his YouTube channel, to be more lazy. It detects shots, it detects transitions, it detects when an intro is happening, it detects when an outro is happening, and it gives you all of that in this lovely JSON file, which you can process in whatever way you like. Liam and the folks from Rekognition have made an open source application that will take the output from this new API and will make an EDL file, editor decision list file that you can import into your Adobe Premiere. Can you do DaVinci Resolve?
Yes, absolutely. Actually, that was the demo I did. I actually came on about a year ago to talk about the original launch, and I did DaVinci Resolve, so I mixed it up today with Premiere.
Oh, okay, yeah. I'm a Resolve user, so that's why. But yeah. So you can import those things, and it can help you make those editor decisions quite easily, because it will make all those markers and segments quite already there, so you can make your decisions based off of those things, right?
One last thing to mention, since I have this up, is an API we didn't talk at all about was the text and video API. You can actually do a search for who's a part of this team by using the text and video capability. So search and discovery is probably the main use case that I see for these. Again, many others, ad monetization, there's so many others, but search and discovery and content metadata are the main areas I see this really shortcutting, and again, allowing people to be professionally lazy as you described it.
Exactly. Because lazy people do things. I think somebody once said that you should always hire lazy engineers because they find a way to do things much more effectively. Hence, services like this come out. So yeah, I think this is amazing. And especially like but this search for text and video. This is just a broader part of Rekognition, right? It's not this new API.
It's not part of this API. It's just one I forgot to mention before.
It's a wonderful API, I want to say, right? So, and chat, do let us know. Do you work with media files? Do you edit videos? Is there any kind of a thought of this being part of your workflow now that you can code it, you can make it more automated? Back in the long ago time of 2006, I was a video editor for my high school, and they gave me a bunch of videos, and I would edit them in Sony Vegas back then. And I remember I had to do a lot of cuts. And boy, that took so long. I think I spent like days just searching through the videos, trying to find where the shot ends, where the second one begins. So if this has been, if this has existed back in 2006, I would be so happy. Yeah. Okay, what is this? What is this? I love graphs.
This is actually, we visualize the presence of all the labels. So I challenged Elasticsearch just now, which is why you saw it say wait for response, because I actually said show all of the labels, which again, the object detection capability in Rekognition allows you to detect every single label, and we actually thousands of different labels. So computers, scenes, classroom, education. It helps when looking at your content, understanding, is it in a bar? Is it in a classroom? Are they like driving a car? Is there a bike? So you can actually do searches for, I want to find all my content where there's a bike, and it'll get you right to all the content with a bike. But I said light up all the labels at once. So that's where you get a lot of different food for brain. Well, it's on a plate, to be honest.
It's not wrong. Yeah.
Well, to be honest, it was on a plate, which again, it's computer vision, which is talking about the confidence scores, and human in the loop is another conversation for another day. But yeah, it is looking at the images there. So
yeah, with this, I can definitely see like data-driven content is definitely going to even start taking off even more. So just being able to look back at what performed well, look at all the data that Rekognition can give back to me, and see, what are the differences between the video that did poorly and the video that did well, and let's take a look at all that metadata.
Yeah, exactly. And especially like if you're producing a lot of content and if you're working with a lot of content, you might not know what's in every video, and sometimes it's easier to get just a kind of a rating to some content comparison here that you kind of can make good decisions on based off of those things. Excellent. So Liam, with this being said, where can we direct people? Where can we detect the audience here? And there's been some interest here, right? What can they do?
So yeah, the two things I would recommend is the segment detection API if you're specific to video editing and you want access to the new feature today. This content was updated again 5 days ago. We pushed it in conjunction with the launch earlier today. But if you want the broader capabilities that I showed around all the other APIs, that's this thing called Media to Cloud, which we are in the process of launching a new, and it's open source, so it's not a service. I want to be clear that this is code we create because the industry is using it in so many different ways. We want to provide guidance. So this is Media to Cloud. There is actually a preview branch, which actually has the custom labels feature that I showed earlier. I've been showing the preview, but the current code is also quite functional. It just doesn't have custom labels. So expect this to iterate into a main branch in the future.
But it's wonderful because all of these APIs are just independent and they exist there, and you can kind of pick and choose what you need for your own existing product. So that's just wonderful. I've actually put this thing on the screen here. This is a this is that sample you showed us, or this is this demo you have showed us. Okay, so it's in the chat. I think we can paste it here again. If I would like to ask Venkat to paste it again if possible in chat, so folks can reach into it. But if not, it's here. So make sure to check it out if you want to build something like Liam built here, right? Cool. Well, with that being said, it's a wonderful service. I think it's an under it's something that you wouldn't see like in the spotlight initially, but if you are into video editing, if you're working with media files, if you need to manage a large library, if you need to edit a large library of video files, Amazon Rekognition, what is the name of the API?
Segment Detection API.
Segment Detection API is something that you should definitely check out.
And one last call to action I just want to make is think about different ways to use these APIs. Like that's the most interesting thing of my job has been hearing what customers want to do. Skip intro and credits. Again, almost everything we do comes from customer requests.
Yeah.
We've even seen people using it to avoid advertising issues, where if there's a news program that has potential, things you don't want to advertise up against it. There's ways you can look at the content, find out what's in the content, what's being spoken about, and then make intelligent decisions for your ads based on that. That's one example of an out-of-the-box thing customers have done.
Yeah, excellent. Thank you very much. I think, check it out. See what you can do with it, right? Amazon Rekognition is just a wide palette of APIs that can help you with your vision, with your videos, with your images, and also look at other AWS ML services out there, which can kind of combine. If you mix and match, they can do wonderful things. Liam, thank you very much for this wonderful demo. Pam and David, thank you very much for interpreting what we're saying. And Kyle, thank you for being part of the show. For everybody else here, remember, every Friday at the same time, it's 8 p.m. my time. I think it's noon Pacific. Make sure to join us at the same place, at the same time, twitch.tv/AWS, or AWS's LinkedIn page, or Twitter, AWS On Air. We're also there. So make sure to join us, where we get to talk to wonderful folks like Liam here, everybody from the service teams, and you also get to come here and ask us questions. Thank you very much. And until next Friday, bye-bye.